Good morning, good day, good afternoon, good night. Wherever and whenever you're listening to this, welcome to today's Bitaxe Townhall. We're writing the session number 33. What a nice number and what a nice event. I was looking at the date of today and I realized it is almost been 2 years, fucking 2 years that I'm into this, that this movement is ramping up every single day and it's just insane. Hey,
I don't
Scott.
I don't think I've heard this story. How did you hear about this project and how did you get involved?
Oh my goodness. So that's kind of a funny story. And before I do move into that, for everybody who's listening to this later on, I'm sorry if my voice sounds a little bit different today. I'm a little bit sick, so excuse me for that. So the story about me, how did I figure out about the Bitaxe project, and then how did everything came along, and OSMU was founded, and well, it is kind of a funny story. So I was just chilling and I was watching YouTube. You know, some people are obsessed to TikTok, but I never downloaded that app. I never use it. I just stick to YouTube. And I was in YouTube Shorts, and I saw somebody on YouTube posting a Shorts video about the Nerd Miner, and I was like, heck, that's kind of interesting to see. And then I was diving into it. I was seeing, okay, all right, that's on GitHub. It's open source. Interesting. I did a couple of things before that on GitHub as well. So I was not used to GitHub. And then, like 5 days later, I was just randomly going on GitHub, clicking on the explore button, and the Bitaxe project was suggested to me. I was like, what the fuck is that? I want to know more.
WTF.
Dude, it was kind of insane. So then I was going back and forth. I was trying to get a little bit more information about it. I was taking a look on your old web page, and I was trying to get in contact with you on X, and I got in contact with Jabit. I don't know his name or if he wants to be named out, so I just call him
Well,
Jabit.
he's developer
Oh
algo on
yeah,
here.
yeah. So yeah, developer Algon here. I got in contact with him because he was probably the first seller ever. He was manually himself assembling these units, the early ones where you had no USB port or anything else, and then was just selling them in like a small plastic thingy, like a
Yeah, he had
plastic
it in like
box.
a Tupperware box or something. That
Yeah,
was amazing.
it was really. I still have it. I still have it. I still use it. It's
That's
awesome.
awesome.
And yeah, I was texting back and forth with him because I had a couple of questions, and I don't know, like one thing and the other came together, and I was intrigued into this, and out of a sudden you posted me the invite link to this GitHub, to this Discord here. I I do remember we were below 100 members on this Discord. And take a look,
Wow.
guys. We are sitting at 8,208 members. What?
So we're like 8,100 more members than when you joined.
Yeah, kinda. It is
Man.
just insane. But I mean, to be fair, from the things that I have heard, there was a Discord before this Discord. So I'm not aware about the number of the people that went into this Discord, but from what you have explained, it was mostly just people developing with you on this project before OSMU, the community, this decentralized arrangement was founded.
Yeah, that's right. There was a guy, Gizmo on Bitcoin Talk, who was like, "I'm going to start a Discord. You should join it." And I was like, "I don't know. I don't even have Discord. That sounds weird." But then I did, and it was fun. There was like a couple early people, like Developer Algo, that were on there. I think it probably was like five people. It was a mostly just like a private like chat, and but it was slowly growing, and then Gizmo. just disappeared without a trace. And he was the server owner, and Sir Vapes had shown up by that time and was like, I have some experience running Discord servers. So he, we tried reaching out to Gizmo various ways and just couldn't get a hold of him. And so I think Sir Vapes reached out to Discord and was like, can we transfer the server? And they were like, nope, like they do. And so he came up with the name Open Source Miners United, started the Discord, and we just told everyone like, hey, we don't know where the owner of this server went anymore, so come check out OSMU. And I think most of the original people came over. I don't remember who, like, of all you were there. I don't know, Ben, were you there? Anyways, everyone came over to OSMU. There wasn't many people. And then, yeah, that's how it started.
I mean, it's kind of insane, especially if I do think about it. The first time that I actually looked up, it was 2 years ago in 3 days. It was on the 22nd of April 2023. And then it took, I believe, because I joined this server. Wait, let me take a look. I joined this server here on the 13th of June. So it took me almost like 2 months to get into all of this shit, get in contact with you and all this stuff. Because, I mean, people have things to do. People had a life. And now we no longer have a life. We are this community.
Sorry, not sorry.
It is insane. It is insane.
It is. It is. I was, I had a full-time job as well, and I was spending so much time working on the Bitaxe and talking with people about Bitaxe and stuff on the early OSMU. It was really having an effect on my work output, but that worked out all right.
I mean, it had a tremendous effect on your work output, especially when you got the first grant and you quit your day job. You had like every single day time to do what you love. At least that's what I assume. I'm sorry if this is wrong.
No, it is still that way. I spend like every waking moment basically thinking about it and working on it. I have to like pry myself away sometimes. But yeah, it's fantastic. I love working on this stuff.
And that's, my kid, is how I met your Scott. Oh my goodness. I always wanted to say that.
Yeah, I mean, one of the coolest things about this is how people like you show up and they're like, hey, I'm into this stuff. Let's go. Like,
I mean, to be honest, so back in the days, I was still studying business, computer science. I had basically, apart from being a low-key script kiddie, no experience. I never touched C before. And I do remember I was constantly nagging you, hey, how the fuck do I use ESP-IDF? What is this shit? How am I supposed to know this? Dude, it's not working. And then you told me, well, you need to solder this and that. And I was like, fuck, I need to get a solder iron.
Yeah, the early Bitaxes, it was like, it's kind of funny because it made a lot of sense for me. I've been developing embedded systems for a long time. And so I have all those programmers and stuff. So it made sense to me that you would buy a programmer if you want to program your microcontroller. And so the early Bitaxes didn't have a USB port for programming. It was like you had to get this separate programmer and this expensive tag connect cable and connect it all together. And I remember I just designed it like that. It was working great for me, but everyone else was like, what the fuck? Like, I have to buy this $15 cable and this another $20 programmer. Exactly, and like, what are you telling me?
A fucking cable, $15. And then the programmer where you attach the cable to was another $20 to $30. I was like, heck no.
And then it turned out the whole time that all you need to do is add a USB port and you didn't need any of that stuff. So.
I'm sorry.
We've come a long way.
We've come really a long way. I mean, I do remember, I still do have one Bitaxe Max here, like next to me, where I do have the JTAG connector. I do have the J Quick tech thingy connector with which is an SMD component and micro USB. This was a really interesting design.
That's right.
We've come a really long way.
Right.
Fuck. Okay,
Yeah.
the chat
Yeah.
is
I mean,
going a little bit insane here. People are talking about if Bitaxe is for the glory or for the money. Interesting. Guys, you're a little bit freaking out here.
Bitaxe, is it for the glory or for the money? Yes.
Yeah, Wolfie was posting a picture of some well-known shitcoiner who says stop mining these lotto miners, buying these lotto miners. It will not make any money for you. Well, yeah.
I mean, great. Son of
Yeah.
a tech. Whatever.
We don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
But yeah,
we
it's
don't.
definitely for the ladies, guys. With a Bitaxe,
So
you
wait, Son of
attract
a
all the
Tech is a
ladies.
shitcoiner? Like
Dude,
he's like, don't buy this nonsense. Buy shitcoins.
no,
Like,
no, no, no. He's buy everything that makes money, like ASIC, GPU modding, everything.
oh yeah, because that's making so
So
much money.
I mean, I'd not. It's probably not the correct way to tell that he's a shitcoiner in general, because I do believe I've watched him like years ago, but no longer anymore.
Uh,
Maybe he's still into Bitcoin. I don't know, but from the latest videos that I've seen, I don't think so. But whatever. Some people are just in there to make the money, and that's why things like uh, these GPU thingies exist. I mean, it's not bad. Bitcoin evolved itself. We had CPU in the first place, and then there was CG miner, CPU, GPU miner, CG miner. There you go, hence the name. And then FPGA. I do believe the time with FPGA was just a couple of months before they released the first ASIC. It was not.
I went to Fort Lauderdale to Mining Disrupt, and the CoinDad has his Bitcoin mining museum there, which is pretty rad. And he had a couple FPGA miners, like actual hardware was built with FPGAs on it. There was one, and it was like a red and white design. I forget, maybe someone remembers what the name of that is, but yeah, it had like these hash boards, like 4 hash boards, and each one had a big fat FPGA on there. Um, so, yeah, I mean, I think there was a split second in which they were doing it. I think that they were potentially faster, more efficient than GPUs, but once you're starting to design like HDL for FPGAs, that's a precursor to ASIC development. So it made sense that it kind of went pretty fast to that.
Yeah, I mean it's the requirement. That's what you use FPGAs for. If you do have one specific task that you want to master, you try to get it into the field programmable gate array, and then as soon as you do figure out how to do it, you can design your ASIC onto that.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember seeing back in the day, they had this thing, it was called hard copy or something like that. And it was like you could actually take an FPGA design and commit it to like a primitive ASIC. Like it was no longer field programmable anymore. It was like a fixed version of it. I don't know how popular that was, but I think that they have some sort of pipeline from going from FPGA designs to actual ASICs.
You know what I'm still hoping for? I wrote my master thesis about the Bitaxe project, and what was really
Awesome, by
funny
the way.
is thanks. What was really funny is that one of my professors, who were the dudes who give me my mark, one of them was an ASIC designer in the 90s, and he was asking me a couple of questions while I was introducing him to my thesis and what I've written so far and everything else. And he was like, "What the fuck are you doing there? And what is this? An ASIC chip?" I'm like, "Yeah, that's an ASIC chip. It mines Bitcoin. How much Bitcoin can you get?" I was like, "Yeah, this and that amount, if you find one, because difficulty, these that." And it's like, fuck, man. I do know how to build this shit. And I was like, well, a couple of years have passed. I'm not sure if there's new knowledge that you would need to acquire. It would be so fucking funny if this dude is someday joining in here and is trying to design an open source ASIC. That would be funny.
I mean, that'd be fantastic.
Just some brain fucks on my end. I'm sorry. Well, I need to say this a couple of times during these town halls. For everybody who's listening later on to these town hall sessions, you're very welcome on this Open Source United Discord server, which you can find under discord.gg/OSMU. Make sure to check it out if you want to get to know a little bit more about what's happening in the background and with the developers. And to everybody who is seeking for customer support because your reseller was sending you over here for customer support, I'm going to tell you, this is no place for customer support. We are not paid for this shit. Go to your fucking reseller. So, all right, I'm done with that. We have a couple of topics today that I want to address. First thing is, I've seen a nice Telegram bot for your Bitaxes, as well as I want to talk a little bit about the Gamma Turbo and potentially about something new and upcoming, as well as something to confuse you even a little bit more is that we potentially will change how we will version our next releases. It's probably not that confusing, but I just want to talk about that. So, yeah. Let's take a quick look in the chat. Do we have any questions in there?
When is the Bitaxe CEO going to come out and address that all ESP32s are hackable and hackers are going to steal all my hash?
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
Yesterday. I don't know who the Bitaxe CEO is, so I don't know what the answer is.
I mean,
there's been a lot of crazy FUD about ESP32s, though.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've seen this. Like, it keeps coming up again, like this.
It's ridiculous.
This whole Bluetooth. What is it called? It's the.
So basically,
HCL.
What's going on is, I believe 1 or 2 months ago, there was this thing that a dude posted that an ESP32 does have a security vulnerability, which is on every single device. And I don't know, the news catched on that, and it was all over the news. ESP32 is unsecure. Yeah. Get away of ESP32. You can no longer use it. And last week, I was in Berlin, the city here in Germany. It's our capital.
Heard of it, yeah.
Anyway, so I was there for some business stuff, and I was looking up at Bitcoin events, and I got over there, and I was just chilling there, listening to what's going on, and they actually talked about it, that the ESP32 does have a security vulnerability. And I was so disappointed for the fact that they just read the head news. And I was like, I was raising my hand, and I was just trying to be a little bit dicky, to be honest, because no front to them, but at least on such events, I do expect the people to get used to the news that they're telling to the people. A little bit more, not too much. I do know it's plenty of topics, and it's sometimes a little bit hard. But if you do go to Bitcoin events, if you do listen to any kind of news or any events, and even if you listen to the Bitaxe Townhall, make sure all the shit that we are talking about, read about it, try to get the information about it. Don't trust anybody. It's not about disrespect or anything. It's just about you need to verify the shit. Don't trust, verify. That's an ethos. That's a lifestyle. Fuck it. So they were just saying basically that the ESP32 is probably insecure to use, and that if you do have any Bitcoin devices that utilizes an ESP32, you should consider it a second time if you actually want to use it or not. And I was just like raising my hand. I was like, excuse me, I have to say something about that. Who are you? I was just like, some of you might know me because I've seen a couple of people in there that I do know, and some didn't know me. It's totally all right. I was telling them, well, I'm one of the Bitaxe developers, and we do use the ESP32 S3 to be the brain of the Bitaxe. And I can clearly say the ESP32 does not have a security vulnerability that you can use as like a daily user or as a script kiddie. Because for the reason being, first, you need to flash specific debugging firmware onto the ESP. Second, you need to enable Bluetooth. And third, you need to know the fuck that you're doing there and what you're trying to exposing or to inject to this device. And all these 3 steps need to be done on the one single device that you're trying to injecting some malicious code. But if one of these facts is failing, you're not able to reproduce this security vulnerability. So ESP32, the one that you have on your Bitaxe, we need to program some shit into the software. So verify the code yourself, please. We would need to make sure that we utilize Bluetooth, which we don't use. And then we need to be close to it so that we can utilize your Bluetooth. And then we need to know what kind of malicious software we want to get into your thingy and where to store it. Well, that sounds like kind of impossible.
The particular bug was some undocumented commands in Espressif's HCI firmware. So that they provide some firmware that allows you to essentially use the ESP32 as a Bluetooth adapter connected to your computer, I think over USB. And so there was a bug in that firmware. Now, we don't use Bluetooth, but we also don't use the HCI firmware. You can use Bluetooth without using that HCI firmware. So it's you kind of have to have a lot of very special cases, like you said, to be true for this bug to even be a thing. Now, I suppose that if someone could load firmware onto your Bitaxe that exposed these commands, then yeah, you would have the vulnerability. But if someone's loading firmware onto your Bitaxe, you have other problems. Like, this is the least of your worries. So
this also
it's just really kind of a non-issue. And I saw they also Espressif released a fix for this already. So in the unlikely event that there's someone using their HCI firmware, I think that bug has been fixed. But I've seen a lot of ESP32s out there in the world. They're very common in IoT devices, and a lot of them do use Bluetooth. But I don't think I've ever seen one that uses this HCI firmware.
To be honest, I was really often thinking about introducing Bluetooth to the Bitaxe to maybe develop a phone app or something like that, so that you can use an app on your phone, because all your people are staring too long on your phone. But we want you to stare on your Bitaxe, because then it finds a block. So
that's right. You got to stare at your Bitaxe. I think our meme officer, our chief meme officer, is onto something here.
Yeah, definitely, and that's the reason why we have not used Bluetooth, because we want you to stare at your Bitaxe.
yeah. Look at the screen, stare deeply at it, make the Bitaxe know your intentions.
Fuck, man, this AI shit is so hilarious. Also,
it really is.
Have you catched on to that? Like, recently, if you use AI for coding and you yourself are not capable of coding, you're called a vibe coder.
Yes.
It's hilarious.
Yes, vibe coding.
What the fuck?
It is hilarious. I mean, it's a pretty useful tool. Like, I had to, the other day, I was like, damn it, in Python, like, how do you get just the, like, last 3 entries in a list? And I was like, oh, just like right there, just Python, just, what was it? GitHub's AI, whatever that one's called, Copilot was just like, boom, there it is. And it was like, that would have been a search on, Stack Overflow or something before.
But Stack Overflow is slowly dying due to AI, slowly. I'm not saying it is dying entirely, because you still need humans. And I bet you a hell of a ton of all this knowledge that some of these AI LLM models do have is from Stack Overflow. I bet everything that I have into that.
Absolutely.
So I was saying I want to talk about a couple of topics. So the Telegram bot, we do have a couple of people who created a couple of cool things. And I was just reading on that. I'm not sure in which channel this was, maybe in Firmware. I need to take a second look where I was reading onto that on the break room. Someone was posting about his tool that you can basically have a Telegram bot to show you the recent stats of your Bitaxe, which is quite cool. We already have that. I'm not saying it's bad that you designed another one, but it's no but. Other than that, it's great to have. It's great to see that more people are coming into this, and even though some things already exist, why not make the wheel yourself or try it yourself, maybe in a different style or tone, and maybe the people that are developing on the same thing are finding together and creating something more awesome. That's my hope, at least. So just quickly wanted to give a shout out to them, but I'm not currently able to find who was posting on that on his new Telegram bot. By the way, he told me he was vibe coding that, so I was not looking too deep into the code. It seems to work.
I think it said he spent like an entire week vibe coding it, so there's that.
That's the thing with vibe coding. I do use AI more or less from time to time, sometimes really often, depending on the issue. But it's never replace my code. It is always give me a hint on what the fuck I'm doing wrong here. And then I'm rethinking my shit and doing it better. And that's kind of a tool for me instead of replace me. I'm not trusting my PC. I'm not trusting anybody.
It's nice to see, get some ideas from it, right? I've seen like it, essentially like autocomplete some functions and been like, oh, that's cool. That's a good idea. And other times you see it and you're like, nope, that's a terrible way to do it.
I've seen so many shit suggestions by AI.
Yeah.
I mean,
although sometimes you're like, how the fuck did you know that? That's perfect. Like, damn. Yeah.
I do remember when I was rewriting the functionality for the adjusting code for all the AC chips, I excluded the BM.
Oh, the frequency?
Yeah, the frequency. I excluded the BM1397 because of the queue that we need on that. I don't want to mess on that. But for the frequency, I was wrapping my head around how can I do this without OOP in a style that it does make sense on C. And I was completely lost. And then, sometimes you do have these issues. It is sitting right in front of you. And I was hacking in a couple of questions into the AI, and I was like, well, that's kind of the issue. That was my idea. It is not working this way. Here are a couple of functions that I was trying to create here. Why is it not working? And it was pointing me out to basically like 2 semicolons that I was putting in the wrong place. And it was like, well, you missed an include here and you missed something there. And you need to add this function as well. And well, it worked. So yeah. It's just a tool to improve you, not to replace you. That's my opinion, my 2 cents on AI. But vibe coding itself it's too much of a topic in today's town hall. I think we should pass on that.
Yeah, I agree.
Well,
let's go.
Let's see. Do we want to talk a little bit about the GT?
Sure. Yeah, the GT is soon. TM. I've got 2 of them on my desk. It's working well. The one thing that we're kind of hung up on, and we got a few people working on this now, is the heatsink for it. The GT has been designed to allow for significant overclocking, but we don't have a thermal solution yet that allows that. So there's been several people working on it. It's a little slow going because you actually need to get like actual heat sinks milled and try them out. But the miner works. I just really want to have that screenshot of it, like 3.5 to 4 terahash picture when we announce it. But yeah, it's working pretty well. Like GT, which for those who don't know, has 2 BM1370s on it. Firmware support for that has been added to ESP Miner. That happened with 2.6.0 a while back.
And with 2.6.2
thanks for everyone who helped out on that
as well, because we had a couple of issues on that.
Yeah, but I mean, I think send me a demo GT unit for display. Yeah, we could probably
Hey,
get
no,
something
no, no,
like that
no.
going
I
on.
need one, dude. Wait, stop. No.
Okay. I
The
mean, I'm
active.
not building them, so you're probably not even asking the right
Yeah,
people.
yeah. I
I
still I still need a fork to come over to Ben and poke him a little bit.
he's a. I don't think he is hurting for anything to do. So
No,
uh,
I mean it's all right. It is what
it's
it
a,
is.
yeah.
It takes a little bit of time, and then, dude, we will surpass all the doubters.
That's
I'm
for sure.
I'm still vibing here. I'm still in the first 10 minutes of vibing how I got into this whole scene, into this movement, how I'd like to call it.
We
So
had a.
yeah,
We probably don't want to spend too much time on this topic, but I will at least bring it up. Is Christian, the guy from Brains, apparently met with the I wouldn't call him an inventor, but the person who started Lucky Miner and posted it about it on Twitter. And so there was a whole flurry of people that I would say don't understand how copyleft open source licenses work. There was a lot of people that are like, "Oh, well, it's open source. You don't support intellectual property. This is what you get." And I think that that is a misunderstanding of how open source licenses work. Um,
I
the idea behind copyleft, which is the sort of general term for the type of license that we use on Bitaxe. Those are the type of licenses that require you to release your changes under the same license as sort of what you got it under. Meaning, um, if you take a GPL or OHL license thing like the Bitaxe and you make changes, if you distribute it, you have to also release your changes. This is like Linux is also under the same license. It's pretty common in open source, and so that whole category of open source licenses is called copyleft, and it copyleft licenses. It's a play on the term copyright, and what it uses is the copyright sort of mechanism to preserve freedom. It's like, okay, now that sounds kind of stupid. What does that mean? It means that we're using the rights, the sort of intellectual property rights of the people who have worked on it to ensure that everyone else has the same freedom. Meaning that someone can't take the project and make changes and distribute it to people without giving them the freedom to the same freedoms that they had. Meaning, whoever gets this should have the ability to see what they're running, to see the source, to be able to change it and distribute it, and have the same advantages that the person had who got it. So that's kind of the idea there. And one of the things that makes me so disappointed when people violate the license is not this like, oh, they're stealing my intellectual property. No, they're stealing your access to this intellectual property, right? We're trying to secure this intellectual property for everyone and limit who can take that away from you with these copyleft licenses. So I tried to explain this in Twitter forum. I feel like some people think that, oh, it's open source, that's anarchy. Everyone can do whatever they want. And that's not really the case. We're trying to, like Bitcoin itself, like make freedom go up and promote Bitcoin at the same time. And that's what these licenses are trying to achieve. So yeah, maybe you can get a cheaper Bitaxe from someone like Lucky Miner or one of these like AliExpress versions, but they are not helping advance this project. And all of those, the sort of Bitaxe that you get from them, it kind of like dies there. You know what I mean? Like those designs are not going forward anywhere because no one's going to be able to get that and like improve upon it and improve home mining and improve people's access to Bitcoin mining and help decentralize the network. Those things die there. That's not what we want to do at all. We want to promote this and promote, people's freedom. And so that is why I would suggest that you not buy those, why I make sure that people who are listed on the Bitaxe legit list don't sell those, don't promote those types of projects that violate the license. And I think that, as we were talking about earlier, we've got 8,000 people in this Open Source Miners United chat, right? These are a lot of very smart people, a lot of very dedicated people who are interested in this project because it's open source. And the reason why they have access to it and the reason why they want to donate their time and their abilities to it is because it's open source, and it sort of promotes that, right? You're part of a project that's going to be something big. So it is going to be big, right? It is going to be big because of that. We have so many eyes on this. We have so many smart minds on it, way more than any closed source proprietary company could possibly have, right? You think about a big company might have like hundreds of engineers working on something, but like we have 8,000 people in this group. I realize they're not all engineers, but we have a lot of eyes, a lot of potential people working on this, and it's only growing. And that's because it's open source. And so with these, license abiding forks of the project, I think you're going to see much faster development, much faster improvement. And we're just going to leave the copycats behind in the dust. It's absolutely going to happen. They're going to be busy copying, what we made months ago.
I don't want to give my 2 cents in a classic way to that. I want to quote a thing that I wrote on Noster, and I want to quote the legend Johnny9 who replied to me. I was writing, why is it that people think modifying the software of the Bitaxe and claiming they did a rework so they don't need to open source it? What on earth do you not understand about GPLv3? Do what you want with it, but if you do modify it, you need to open source it if you distribute it. This benefits the community among miners. We at OSMU do not hold back. We try to lead the way. Bitcoin needs to be open source. And this is not just heartbreaking, but also sad to see how many people are lurking on money. I got a clear message for you. Go fuck yourself.
Hell yeah.
And Johnny the legend, he replied, they don't care and you shouldn't either. You won't want code changes from short-term thinkers. The ones that care will share and upstream because it will make all projects better. Thanks, Johnny. I really appreciate you. You're such a legend.
That's awesome. That's awesome. That's the right way. There's a song. What was it go? Anyways, the quote is, ain't nobody got no time for no stink attitude bitches. And I think that is a good way to live your life, right? There's always going to be some stink attitude bitches that are trying to get you down or like do something dumb, We just got no time for that. We got like cool stuff to make.
There's so much to make. We don't have enough hours in a day to work on all this stuff that we have in our minds. That's the reason why this community exists, why we do have so many channels, why you do see so many different projects you don't even ever have heard about or know what the frick is going on with it. Because there's so much potential. Will it be a next Bitaxe, a bigger Bitaxe, a smaller one, a different one, an upgrade for something else? Whether it be a control board completely open source, maybe used with Raspberry Pis or with a RISC-V processor, whatever. There's everything that we can do. We can improve Bitcoin. And that is what this community is about. It's not about chilling what we did, what Scott came up with of an idea, and we are the best and geniuses of Bitcoin mining. No, fuck it. We're trying to leading the way because Bitcoin, and especially Bitcoin mining, is so freaking centralized, you won't even believe it. And we need to change it because nobody else is going to do it.
Hell yeah. That's right. Just just do it. We can do this.
A flux capacitor powered Bitaxe. Yeah, goddamn ducks. That's definitely for sure going to be the next Bitaxe project.
Yeah. Send over the flux capacitor. We'll hook it up. There
Buckle
was
up,
someone that was
boys.
talking about these nuclear batteries. Do you remember that? That was a couple weeks ago. I think they're kind of vaporware, but these small like
No,
batteries that
they're not.
last forever.
It's kind of an interesting thing. These nuclear powered batteries, they have been chilled, I believe, 1 or 2 years ago for the first time in the news. Uh, they are a thing, but the amperage they can output is so low you can barely even use it. That's the thing. They will last for hundreds of years and they will give you hundreds of years of energy, but the amperage is not enough to actually use it for anything.
Yeah, I think it was like, wasn't it like microwatts or something like that? It
Yeah,
was very
microwatts.
small. Yeah. Well, I'm sure that's fun for some like little IoT stuff if it were even real. But yeah, that's not going to work for Bitcoin miners. We need watts, tens of watts at
Yeah,
least.
definitely. But by the way, Scott, do we want to talk about T and B or not?
No, not yet.
Okay. All right. I have a fun story. I love to confuse people, and we probably did this already. But before we do that, everybody who's listening later on, don't forget to go over to discord.gg/OSMU. It's an awesome community. It's a movement. It is decentralized. It is freaking awesome. We all love each other. And if you don't love each other and you're a bad dude, we will kick you out. Anyway, we do have probably a little bit of a scheme change when it comes to the versioning of the ESP minor releases. It is more of a discussion rather than set in stone. Maybe it is already set in stone. I don't really know. Um, so the thing is, we had a couple of releases lately: 2.6.3, 2.6.4, 2.6.5, but they're not really software changes in like, well, new features or anything else. They're more on, well, a couple of improvements when it comes to the self-test, which is also needed, especially if you manufacture these things, or if we do have a new board and you manufacture these boards, then you probably need to adjust the parameters, and that's the reason why these updates are coming out there. So if you still are using 2.6.2, it's totally fine. But what is maybe changing is the versioning for the next releases. So we kind of buckled into this thing that we only do like one release per month if everything goes to plan. If we do have hot fixes because there's a bug in something that we do have released, then we need to release this as well, obviously, because there's a bug going on, or a security vulnerability like we did a couple months ago. Then we need to fix this ASAP, and as soon as we do have time to work on that. But the idea here is, instead of just using the next highest number, like 2.6.6, we try to use the second number, so 2.x point something for the monthly releases, and 2.6.x for the hotfixes. So that's the idea that is currently floating around. Maybe you can talk a couple seconds about it. I need to.
Yeah. So we have yeah, it was my goal. I was kind of pushing for to slow the cadence of releases to be more like every month, because we're getting lots of contributors and lots of bug fixes and cool new features and stuff, and we just kind of like collect them up for, I don't know, a week and then release it. And it's tough to stay on top of that. It's tough to like fully test those releases before they go out, especially now that we have a lot of Bitaxe hardware that it needs to be tried on in a lot of different situations. So I was thinking like let's slow that roll to once a month, and that's kind of the goal. It's a rough goal, but certainly not faster than once a month. But then, like Wonklu said, if there's a bug, we gotta get that fixed out there immediately, and so those are hot fixes, and those will be the last version number, the .1, .2, .3 kind of thing. You'll see there, and then the monthly ones will be the middle version number. So I think we're on 2.6 right now, so we'll have a 2.7 coming up here pretty soon. Yeah, that's the idea there. It doesn't need to be a big deal, but it kind of makes planning a little bit easier. Wanklu's been doing a good job with setting up milestones on GitHub where we can kind of plan for a release, which is kind of a wild concept, but I think a good idea. And so we'll plan for 2.7, 2.8, 2.9, things like that.
Yeah,
and then Ben can just hotfix all of his changes into the middle there.
Yeah, it's a little bit hard, especially like we have so many contributors, and I do believe currently at ESP Miner, 4 people do have the ability to create new releases. 4 or 5, I'm not sure about the exact number. And it sometimes gets a little bit confusing on what do we want to actually release or what needs to be defined or refined. Like, for example, with the next bigger release, the 2.7.0, there will be a new automatic fan control be released. It's called PID. It will replace...
It's so cool, by the way.
Yeah, thank you.
Dude, nice job on that.
It is.
I loaded it up on a 601, and it's like my display just says temperature like 60.0 like the whole time. It's amazing.
The coolest part about this is I was trying to invent the wheel new there, and then PMax, I always chat with PMax, and he was like, dude, are you stupid? Just take a look on the Arduino library. They do have a PID, and let's refine that. Let's adjust it. Let's make it better. So we did. He released the latest version of his ESP miner for all the NerdQX and NerdX devices yesterday. So PID controller is already in these updates out there. So if you do have one, make sure to update to his latest release. And the PID controller for the Bitaxe has been refined. I finished it yesterday. Now it's working better. And it will be released by the end of this month. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, so 2.7.0 will be released by the end of the month, probably. One of the biggest things that I'm really trying to get out there is that we need to have API versioning. We need to have API v2 out because it's frustrating. We have a couple of things that we need to move.
Yeah, API versioning. Man, the API is so rad. I think Ben came up with this idea initially, and it's just fantastic. Like, I think it opens up so many avenues for people to do customizations.
Oh, yeah.
And integrations and their own dashboards and things. And we can talk about that app idea if you want at some point. But yeah, the API is awesome. I think it makes sense to put in the effort to do it properly with version changes and try not to break backwards compatibility too much.
I mean, with API v2, we will definitely break plenty things. But then we do have one which is settled, and then we try not to break things if you do introduce new stuff.
I promise. This is the last time we'll break everything.
Yeah.
And it'll be like this forever.
I mean, that's the cool part about it. If you don't like it, you don't need to update. I hope that those people that are listening currently, that you actually have taken a look onto what you're doing on your Bitaxe. If you do click on check for update, it tells you if you do click this button, your device will connect to GitHub. So what we're trying to do here is we give you the option to do whatever you want with your device. And if you don't want your device to connect to anything like GitHub or anything else to check on the latest release, you don't need to. And it's the same on the API. If there are some things that you don't like, you don't need to update to it. Or you skip it, or you rewrite it. Yeah.
That, I mean, we don't want to like break people's compatibility and just say like, oh, if you don't like it, like go fix it yourself. Like, it would be nice to offer support for people, and
that's the thing. We
take people's opinions into consideration, but also, we've got to move forward.
That's the thing. Like, we broke probably the Bitaxe max 3 or 4 times, and we
Yeah.
we didn't actually notice that immediately because probably none of us is still running the Macs. And then it was always somebody in this community was like, "Hey, I updated to the latest release. My Macs is no longer working." And we're like, "What?
Yeah.
What happened?" And then we figured it out and we fixed it. So we're still trying
Yeah.
to make
Yeah.
sure
That
that
one's,
yeah,
I
it's
don't think
another
there's many of those out there.
no, not that. It's probably less than 200 or 300 probably.
Yeah. Definitely less.
I mean, the BM1397 is still a nice ASIC chip, and you can use it on plenty different devices or upgrade kits. But yeah, it's not the standard. It's not what is so loved by this community and by the people who are trying to buying the latest and greatest Bitaxe of whoever is manufacturing them. But yeah, some of it is still out there, and there's still this issue open that we need to opt out the Bitaxe mags because we want to remove code to make freedom for other things. But it's a long story. It takes time.
Yeah. I think we had decided that, yes, we're doing it. We're cutting support for the Bitaxe Max. And then someone was like, well, you don't have to do that. And so it's similar enough, I think, that we can support it going forward. I think the couple users out there might have to deal with some breaking changes, but then they'll let us know and we can probably fix it.
You know what would be cool?
It's not that much different, though.
We probably should try to make a rework of the Macs. Maybe as a
Oh, yeah, I was thinking about that. We could do a sort of updated Max, like for modern times.
yeah, with 12.
That'd be
No,
kind of
12
cool.
volts is kind of shit, but
What's your experience been getting those chips?
I do have 25,000 of these chips currently,
Is that all?
so
Okay.
yeah, I do have some.
Are they new or used?
50-50. It
Okay.
is
All right.
it is so freaking hard to get these chips new because they are so long out of production.
Yeah.
I was probably buying them all over the place, and I bet that of these 50% that I was told that they're brand new are still not brand new. But yeah,
Yeah, that's getting to be like Bitcoin ASICs, moves pretty fast. So
the
I
best part about it is like the Bitaxe Max. If you do like a rework of it and manufacture them, especially the most expensive part on the Bitaxe Max is the PCB. The ASIC chip is less than $1.
so if we rework the Bitaxe Max into the modern era with like a USB port, would we also upgrade the voltage regulator, or do you think we should stick with the old one?
No, I think we should upgrade to the TPS first and foremost because it reduces the parts that we do need. We no longer need. We have all in one. Like the TPS 546 is so awesome. You don't need to have BUC and MOSFETs and all other parts separated. You have it all in one package.
But it's kind of expensive.
It is. That's for sure. But we could shrink the board.
Oh.
I was.
Well, it wouldn't
I
be
was
that
thinking
hard to
about that.
take the Gamma 602 design and basically just take off the ASIC and paste in the BM1397.
Correct.
There's minimal changes that would have to happen. You'd have to add some firmware support for it, but that wouldn't be too hard, especially now that we have hardware abstracted from the
We're making
minor
really good
firmware.
progress on that, by the way. Like the hardware abstraction is getting better and better. I still need to fix the open issue of removing hardware specific code in XOS for the frequency and stuff like that, and move it over to the API. But apart from that,
Yeah. I mean that's great. I'm also really appreciating that as I integrate other brand ASICs into the Bitaxe prototypes. Yeah, it's fantastic. Thank you for your help on that. Like, I think this we really like leveled up ESP Miner.
it
I think with that overall effort.
it's still a long road. But I'm not trying to down talk it. We have so many amazing and brilliant people in there. And each day I'm either learning something new or I'm Googling something new that I never know exists. So it's fantastic.
Every day, Google something new.
Oh yeah, keeps the doctor away.
Use the doctor. Do you want to talk about this app idea? What do you think? Or should
Oh
we
yeah.
keep that for next time?
No, I think that's a nice topic. We can introduce it and then we maybe talk a little bit more about this on the next one.
Okay. Okay, so we don't even have a name for it yet. This is the unnamed project.
Have you taken a look on the names that I suggested? Sorry.
I did, yeah, and then I suggested some more to you.
And Ben was kind of into also something. I kind of
Oh
like it.
yeah, okay.
I kind of like it.
Yeah. I kind of like it too. All right. Well, naming things is clearly one of the most challenging aspects of any project. So
We are
we do not want to
absolutely
take this
idiots into
lightly.
that.
We've got to have a badass name. Okay, Ben, he's just going to tell us right now.
Yo, can you hear me?
Yes,
Yes.
hello.
All right, let's have it. Drop the best ever name.
I suggested Hash Commander.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay.
But
It makes sense.
I wanted to say something about the app real quick. Little known fact, I think there's probably maybe a handful of people who even know about it. Public Pool has a cross-platform Electron app.
What? Tell
Yeah.
us more.
So it's literally, I took Public Pool, and because it's all just TypeScript and Node, I just packaged it up in an Electron app, and it's up on my GitHub. So that's possibly like a starting point, a template that we can use for an app like this, and or even build in a Stratum server. So something to think about.
Ooh, yeah. I like Wonklu's gift there. Nice.
Nice.
So how hard is that to do? Like, could we take AxOS and bundle it up in a Electron app?
Absolutely, yeah.
What's
Dude, we should
what's
do
the
this.
repo name?
Yeah.
Is it public pool on a different branch?
It's
Or?
I think it's public-pool-app. I think it is what it is. It's been a while since I worked on it.
I found it.
Took me about a week, I think, to put it together. So don't really have a lot of Electron experience.
Yeah, me neither. Something new.
Seems like something you could vibe code.
No.
No?
No.
Don't you think that AI knows all kinds of things about Electron?
Oh, I'm sure it does. I mean, Discord here, that's written in Electron, so really the sky's the limit.
I mean, AI, the learning curve with AI is pretty insane, but the learning curve of humans is kind of stupid. I do experience this every day. I'm now there 3 months into trying to train my own model on all the Bitaxe knowledge that I do have, and I'm still not done. It is so freaking insane to do and build these things.
Man, it's easy to come up with new projects, though.
Yeah. But not wipe coding. We don't want to bugs. A little bit of wipe
I don't
coding.
know. I don't know the right way to do it, but this would be fantastic. And I was going to say, we have a lot of really cool stuff. That guy, Raccoon, is he in here? I don't see him in here. He made that really neat display to show the best difficulty of all the different cores within the ASIC. I thought that was neat. We have a Sandwich on GitHub has made a neat interface, like a UI for overclocking. Like all these kinds of things are really cool, and we should have a pro app that has all this.
But we don't want to call it a pro app because you're not a pro if you use it.
Well, I mean, this would actually be a pro app, right? Like
the app itself. Oh yeah, probably.
Yeah. And it would be really cool if it was usable as an Electron app. Maybe you could run it on desktop, or like what you were talking about, Wonklu, like it's a service. You could install it on a Raspberry Pi at your house. And I'm assuming you can do that because Public Pool is a service, right? That you can run.
I was trying to look into getting tunnel services onto microcontrollers like the ESP32. I was crying one day.
Yeah, I don't know if we'd want to run it on embedded, but I think
No.
on a like embedded Linux is a good goal, like on a Raspberry Pi. That'd be cool.
I mean, it needs to be fancy, you know?
Yeah, we could make a super fancy compute module device that's
Should
the hash commander hardware, like
I mean,
Command
the
Central.
general idea, yeah, is there that we do have like a central app that acts as like, as you said, like it's some sort of your main source that you do use is like either an app service or something in between that you can either use at home, so aka locally, or maybe some cloud service or software as a service or platform as a service thingy like where you can remote control your mining swarm fleet, whatever you want to call it. So like an all-in-one kit with plenty of capabilities. Like the Bitaxe, it should always only be the bare minimum. And we're reaching a limit where we pack too much into XOS. Not because we're reaching into a limit of the microcontroller. It can still do way more, but we could potentially overshoot what we're trying to achieve with the Bitaxe. Not saying that we want to restrict anything, but it would probably make more sense to have the Bitaxe as like this one device that you set up and it is hashing in your corner, and someday you look at it and you want to marry it because it tells you, hey, I found a block. And then if you want to have more services like overclocking, checking on all your devices in one platform, you're out on an island in Hawaii and you're just chilling on the beach, you want to take a look on your Bitaxes because you married it, then you want to make sure that you can do this remotely probably, and you don't want to use a VPN or something like that. So we need to come with an idea, and all this packed together is the idea. And I
I mean, the cool thing about having an app is it gets around all the browser limitations like we've been having with cross-origin resource sharing, and then you can also do HTTPS, right?
Mm.
yeah,
And then you can add all sorts of cool stuff on top of it, like logging, and you could even do hash rate aggregation. You know, you could sniff your stratum. Like, there's the sky's the limit.
I mean, let's say you need to have like a Raspberry Pi Zero or something like this packed into a nice metal case that you need to hook up to your local network, and this thing is then controlling all your bit access. That's that's more or less some cool idea, I think.
You could put a nice little touch screen on there and have like a desktop device that kind of like Bitaxe Touch vibes, but controls like your whole fleet of Bitaxes.
I mean, it's still just thinking about it. It is. It needs to be, of course, it needs to be, and it will be if something like this gets developed open source. And then I think one important thing is it needs to be packed in a way that you can run this locally and you don't need to
Yeah.
use the servers. Because I take a look on us. Like, who of us is actually selling you anything other than knowledge, which is for free in here?
I think it'd be really cool too to have it be an Electron app that is essentially based on AxOS, meaning TypeScript and Angular. I think it's Angular, right? So that like people can develop on that. And then what if there's a great feature that was like, oh, hey, we do want that on AxOS, right? It's not going to be too much of a chore to port it back to AxOS or take things from AxOS and put it in Hash Commander. Like, I think that'd be really cool. It would be a good development ecosystem too, because now you can just develop on desktop and you don't need to have necessarily hardware to try it out on.
You know, one of the coolest things that I'm really proud that it made it into it. Let me take a look. It was probably in 261. Let me quickly take a look on that. Yeah. So pull request number 735 by Mutachum. This is probably, it adds nothing in functionality. It adds nothing in enhancement. It adds nothing on better hash rate, better efficiency, or whatever onto your Bitaxe. But you know what we did with that? Every single household that is running a Bitaxe now is also running the white paper.
Yes, that's awesome. I love that. That was a fantastic idea.
Sorry, I'm just hopping from topic to topic. But it reminded me of that because I was thinking, sure, adding something into HCI that is not really that complicated is easy, and can always be done. We have so much space left on the device. But you don't want like 6,000 menu options in your burger menu. You want to keep it simple, like the KISS standard. Keep it stupid simple. You want to have like
Wi-Fi This
set
this
up.
is kind of what
Yeah.
this is what I've been just sort of grappling with a lot because we've seen lots of cool features that people have submitted PRs for, and it's like that's awesome. I would love to have that, but on the other hand, the AXOS is running on a very limited capability processor, and we need to keep it simple because it's like we really want you to get in there and get your miners set up, and that should be an epic experience. But all this other stuff is it's for like a much more limited audience. So in a lot of cases, I think it's not proper to put it in
I think
AXOS.
one of the best examples for that is InfluxDB. So for everybody who's running a NerdX, NerdQX, the dude who is developing that, PMax, he's developing the firmware for these devices. He is absolutely a nerd, so he knows all this shit that he's doing. Thing is, he is known to InfluxDB. InfluxDB is a database that you can use, and then you can use the data that you store there to show it in a dashboard like Grafana or something like that. I still need to do a video about that. We'll probably do this in 1 or 2 days. Adding this to Bitaxe, I'm not really sure if this is something that people... We do have a pull request. Somebody ported it over to the Bitaxe. I'm not sure if you actually want to merge it. I love it.
I think this falls into this category of like,
Yeah.
that's an excellent thing. I would love to have it, but is it appropriate in AXOS? I don't think so. I think it's a little bit too esoteric. We also had a request for MQTT, which is a like low bandwidth protocol for sending data to sensors and things like that. It's like, that's awesome. Is it appropriate to have in every single Bitaxe?
You could have
all million of them. Like
you could use
I don't know.
LoRaWAN with your ESP32. It's totally possible.
Yeah, a lot of stuff that CryptoIce is talking about with sort of solar tracking and the adjusting the hash rate on the fly. Like this is awesome stuff. This is exactly the kind of product we want to enable. But is it appropriate in 1 million Bitaxes? I don't know. I also CryptoIce just said he's going to send this Townhall live, like the audio, out to space. That's cool. What's up, space?
Frequency 104.89621 kilohertz. It's live now.
That's a lot of kilohertz. That's like
he's
that
into
must not be
this
kilohertz.
radio stuff. It's insane what he's doing on that end.
That is 10 gigahertz. Is he sending it over 10 gigahertz? I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. He said yeah.
Okay. Said yeah. All right. 10 gigahertz. Here we come.
Insane. Yeah. As you said, there are so many things that you may want to do or not, but adding it to the audience, what does it need to do? Like, take a look on your end miner. What can it do? You can set up your pool, and that's it. You can take a look on the logs, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, that has always been so disappointing to me is that like they're running Linux. on like a 900 megahertz processor with like a gig of RAM. Like it could do so much more if it weren't just locked down and dumb.
Yeah, and while we're talking about that, have you actually like lately Antminer released a new firmware update, and apparently a couple
gosh.
of these mining devices are no longer working. Oh, I wonder
What a
why.
fucking dumpster fire. Damn.
Hmm.
Yeah, I heard somewhere it was they changed like the order of stratum initialization sequence, and they just like reject miners that don't follow that initialization sequence, and that broke Ocean and Brains. Like, oh my god! Like, on one hand, I get it. Like, stratum does not actually have a protocol
Yeah.
specification, so it's a little bit hard to follow. But also, they broke it. Like, it used to work. So what the fuck?
The thing is, what is really interesting is people always talk about them and are like, well, they are the biggest manufacturer of ASIC chips, so you need to actually use them, yada yada. They're not the bad guys, yada yada. The thing is, they are the biggest manufacturer, and sure, the Bitaxe currently, aka no longer in soon TM, is using the ASIC chip of Antminer, of Bitmain, that's for sure. But
For sure.
it's for sure that's not gonna be long. So till we see another one. What they're trying to do, at least from what I do come up as a conclusion, is they're not only trying to sell you their hardware, they're trying to control Bitcoin mining. And they did this over the years, and they put in so much evidence and bleed all the other bugs. Oh, your device is no longer working. Oh, it's no longer connecting. Oh, we changed some rules. Oh, we did that. Like, what the fuck? And all you can do is stay in there and cry silently, because you can't do anything about it, because you can't change the software. You can't fix bugs. You can just go out there, scream at them and tell them what the fuck is going wrong. And if they have the audacity to come down and take a look on you, then they might release a bug fix, which is not a bug because they intended to use it as a feature to lock you out of the hardware that you bought.
Yeah, these guys, I don't know. I would feel very nervous basing my like billion-dollar company solely on their products.
Goddamn Dax was googling. He's googling how to manufacture ASIC chips. First things first, get 100 million bucks.
Just vibe code it. Just do a vibe tape out.
Yes.
It's very expensive to make ASIC chips.
It is.
I don't want to like deter anyone from attempting it, but
By the way, talking about that, yesterday somebody was telling me that Block is falling back. It's not trying to manufacture any longer a chip. Did you heard anything about that? I'm not sure. It might be fake news. I hope it's fake news.
I have definitely not heard that. I have heard
Okay.
some things to the contrary, so that might be
Okay.
fake news. I don't
Fake
have
news.
like
Good.
a lot of insider information there, but yeah, I don't think so. I think that they have quite a bit of sunk cost on that too, right? They've already done like a tape out, which is millions of dollars. So hopefully they wouldn't just bail on it this close.
Ryan is currently pointing out that this town hall has not only been broadcasted into space, he's sending it through an amateur radio satellite transponder, and it's coming down from a satellite at 10 gigahertz frequency. We have been broadcasted via satellite. That's
Whoa.
interesting. So to everybody who's listening via satellite, come over to our awesome community. We're sitting at discord.gg/OSMU. We are the Open Source Miners United community, a handful of 8,211 members on this Discord server, because we believe that Bitcoin needs to be open source. We believe that Open Source Miners United is leading the way in broadcasting and making sure Bitcoin mining will be open source, and we need your help because everybody needs to be on the open source route. If you want to become a manufacturer who's trying to be anything that is trying to do with closed source stuff, well, we got a message for you. Go fuck yourself.
Let's fucking go. You heard this from space, so it's true.
Oh man,
That's awesome. That's really fucking
probably
cool.
Tomorrow I can't even talk. My voice is so fucked.
Shout out to Ryan, dude. This guy is working with 256 Foundation on the Mujina firmware, which is going to be massive. This is a embedded Linux-based firmware miner operating system that is going to be really fucking cool. So shout out to you, Ryan. You've got a big job, but it's much needed.
You know what I'm really worried about? Not worried, but thinking about is like, I do see all these awesome grants, but what's lacking, from my opinion, is I only see grants if there are some out there that are promoting a new product, a new improvement or something like that. But I see less of grants that are applicable to keeping projects maintained, which is really important because it's nice.
That is a good point.
It's nice if you have like a new feature, a new product, if you have an open source control board or software, or if you have ESP miner being developed, that's nice. But what about updates? What about security fixes? So to the people who are running these foundations or grants, I just want to point out, maybe you should think about that as well. It's really important.
It's very important. Like, I think that granting organizations are starting to get the clue about that for Bitcoin Core, right? They're funding maintainers and people who are reviewing PRs and things like that. But there's a lot to this Bitcoin ecosystem. So yeah, what you said. I mean, this is really important. We need all the funding we can get. So if you're in a position to donate to one of these granting organizations, to OSMU, to 256 Foundation, please do that. I mean, we are going to change the world here, and we can do it sooner rather than later if you contribute now. And then if you're a developer, an engineer, like, get involved soon, and it's really fun, it's really rewarding, and you can help change the face of Bitcoin mining, freedom for the entire world. No big deal.
It is. There's so many projects. One last thing that I want to do is, I know not that many people are actually listening, speaking, or understanding the German language, but if you do, I highly suggest you to take a look on a podcast called Münzweg. The last episode was Dennis from the BTC Pay server. He's a maintainer on this project, and he had an awesome explanation about why he's a little bit disappointed by the ethos or the thing that some people always say Bitcoin fixes this, because he does have a different opinion on that. And if you are capable of listening to German, I highly suggest you to listen to that. It was an awesome episode, and BTC Pay server in general is one of the best things that I ever used in my life, apart from the Bitaxe, of course.
What can you give us as like the TLDR don't understand German?
So, I mean, to break it down really quickly, is like Bitcoin fixes this is not always the case. What you need to fix is the mindset of the people. What you need to fix is the timeline, the time scale that people can think in. This is especially important if you do think about something with transactionable history, like a blockchain, like Bitcoin. you need to make sure that you do get it, that just using Bitcoin won't fix this, but you need to change the people and their mindset.
That is badass. That is very badass. It's like Bitcoin itself doesn't necessarily fix this. Like Bitcoin, the investment, the number go up doesn't fix this. But Bitcoin, the ethos, the idea, the decentralized, permissionless project, I think does fix this.
Yeah.
But as we've seen, just, Bitcoin's success doesn't guarantee those things. Right? It doesn't guarantee that it's decentralized, as evidenced by mining right now.
It falls into the same category for me, that I do think open source everything is one of the most important phrases to say. It's kind of a bummer, because in my main daily job, I don't. Would be funny, but yeah.
Yeah, I think that's right. I mean, open source everything is a good mindset, right? It's not practical to like live 100% on open source. Not yet, that's for sure. So I don't think it's like hypocritical or bad to try and promote open source everything while still also supporting closed source proprietary stuff, right? Because we got to pick our battles.
Yeah, I mean, you can say open source everything to a couple of things, but I doubt that anybody is going through life and is telling everybody, hey, open source everything, because then please throw away your phone, please throw away your clothes, and so much more, because they are not open source. You can try to change it. You can try to make the best out of it, but it's so hard, especially like, think about it. Block is they're chilling and trying to do an open source ASIC, but that's only 50% of the truth, because they do utilize technology where they are not allowed by contract to open source this particular part. So it will be sort out of open source. It is still better than nothing, and it is still better than what a couple of companies in the Bitcoin scene are doing, and telling people, hell, well, we open sourced our stuff. It is basically nothing, but we open sourced it. Brains.
Yeah. It was interesting because Brains open sourced their control board.
Yeah, no, they didn't. What they did is they open sourced a freaking open source Linux version. Good luck. There's no miner. There's nothing on it.
Yeah, I mean the hardware they open source. I mean,
yeah, that's
I appreciate that. I think that's the right step. That's the right direction.
It's acknowledged, and it got a really big nod of myself, and I was like, well, first step done. Good.
I mean, I think that they did it because they announced it, and I think came up with the idea at the Telehash in Nashville, which was a big, open source mining sort of celebration. And there was a lot of excitement around it. And I think that they did it because of that. And it's like, okay, that's great. We'll take it. Whatever your reasons are to get into open source, we'll take it. Brains used to make an open source mining firmware. It was called Brains OS. And then they had Brains OS Plus, which was their non-open source version. A couple of years ago, several years ago now, I guess, they canceled Brains OS, the open source version. And they said it was because people were just ripping them off and no one was helping them. They weren't seeing any benefit from having that be open source. And, that's tough, right? Like, if there's no like community that has come up around it who's actually helping and developing, then yeah, I mean, it could be a net negative for your project to just open source it. And I kind of worry that that's going to happen again for their control board, because it was kind of like just sort of like, here you go, like dumped on the open source Bitcoin mining community. Like, here you go, it's open source. Like, let's let the revolution start. And I think as we're finding out, it takes more than that. You've got to somehow attract people like WantClue who want to just jump in and start developing on it and building, which, yeah, it takes some time. And I think it takes, I don't know, this is a theory, but I think it takes like a complete commitment to it, right? It's not just like, oh, we're a for-profit proprietary mining company. We've got this one little thing that we just open sourced over here. Like, just have fun with your Bitcoins. I think it takes more than that. I think it takes like a real commitment to it to see the benefits. You can't just half-ass it. I mean, I don't want to claim that's what Brains is doing, but
I mean, they, as I said, they're doing the first right step there, or second because they did it previously. And there's a reason why some companies choose the freemium and premium route. I'm not judging them. I do understand it. It makes sense if you think about capitalism, but that's not why we're here. And it does have a difference. Like, we are not bashing on everything that is closed source. We are going particularly in this community into the section of Bitcoin mining. We are working on a system on Bitcoin which was designed open source. Stratum was designed open source, the communication between the miner and a node. Everything was designed open source. The first versions of Bitcoin mining software was open source. Why go now into something proprietary? No. Bitcoin, hack the planet.
yes. Is that a oh, it's like a 3D print on it. Oh, you 3D printed the whole disc. I get it now.
That's freaking cool.
Sorry, for those just listening, Goddamn Ducks posted a picture of a classic disc, computer disc,
floppy disk.
but it looks like it's 3D printed and it has it says Hack the Planet on it, and that's the logo from DEF CON, right?
Could
Or
be.
I guess that was also in Hackers.
But anyways, we are overshooting the limit of 1 hour by almost 30 minutes. So we are 1 hour and 30 minutes almost into this town hall. I want to appreciate everybody who was in here in the audience and was listening to today's town hall. I excuse myself again for my bad voice today, but anyway, I thank you both for being up here on stage and speaking with me together about news and cool things that are coming up and everything. And I just want to make sure that you guys are into all this stuff. Today I was not really
Can we give some shout outs? We should do shout outs. There's a lot of cool people here. Crypto Ice, thanks for beaming this to space. That's badass. You've been involved in this a long time. Cortic, man, do not give up on, or don't give Ocean a break, man. Keep up the pressure. We can fix those guys. Phil31, thank you for building rad hardware. Ryan, Magina is going to be badass. Appreciate what you're doing. Tommy G and Chris from IX Tech, you guys are making some fantastic Bitaxe hardware. Also, Chris Taps making some rad Bitaxe hardware. Avril from Altair, he was one of the first ever sellers selling Bitaxe. Got this thing off the ground. Appreciate your long-term support. Also, Developer Algo, you weren't here. We were talking about you earlier. You're going to have to go back and listen to the feed. But Developer Algo, one of the first Bitaxe manufacturers and sellers back when it was a very early project. He sold it I think it was in a Tupperware. Shout out to Duncan. Duncan is just a badass. Like, this dude is behind the scenes. I think he just posted about this on Twitter. He's behind the scenes on everything that's rad. So no surprise that he's here. Shout out to you.
I'm always thinking about MacGyver when I talk to him.
Yes, that's rad. Dude knows what he's doing. That's cool. Ben, the Bitaxe Touch Wizard, that thing is super cool. Looking forward to your new releases. I don't know if I can talk about it or not yet, but he's got some cool new stuff in the works that is going to be rad. Nebula Miner, holy cow, that dude is a legend. Good to see you here, Nebula Miner.
I hope that everybody now stands up and gives a quick bow to Nebula Miner. He is truly a legend.
Official legend. Appreciate you. Decentralized Mind, dude. This guy just showed up and he's like, I'm going to start learning how to solder stuff together and build a bunch of Bitaxes. And now he's working on an empire of assembling Bitaxes. So appreciate what you're doing, putting that out there. He said on Twitter that he had a live stream of him assembling a Bitax and there was 900 people watching. I was like, holy shit.
Yeah, it's insane.
I think we might have something going on here. Let's see. There's a bunch of other people that your names look very familiar. I appreciate all your support and being here, listening to this, hacking on this stuff, open source everything, decentralize it, hack the planet.
Thanks for everybody for being here. And thanks for everybody who's listening to this later on or currently through the space on the 10 gigahertz frequency. It's awesome. I do bet some people are listening through that. I thank everybody for being here, generally. And it is always a pleasure being your host. I'm One Clue. Scott was with us today, the instigator of this awesome project. And now we are into a movement called Open Source Miners United. We will hack the planet. Thanks to everybody. See you. Peace out.
Have a good one.